I love chocolate.
Discontinued food items. It's heartbreaking when your favorite food items are no longer available.
It's just not fair, damn it!
You never know when it's going to happen, and not even the most popular, most delicious food items are immune. So sit back and prepare for things to get a little nostalgic. Here are the top 10 discontinued foods we miss, Part 7.
Chocolate is a serious thing.
Cadbury's Touchdown.
All right, I made a touchdown.
Now, how good must a chocolate bar be in order to be blessed with such a name? A whole 7 points rolled up into one sweet package, awarded for flavor, no less. While many bars have stood the solid and unrelenting test of time, this one bar definitely packed a punch of severe proportions. Or should we say, a tackle. But was it worth 7 points in one shot? For those who remember, it was quite tasty, and some would argue it was well worth the moniker it was given. These days, the internet is ablaze with tons of amateur bakers and cooks offering up recipes for alternate versions of this bar. But as great as some of these individuals are at what they do in their home kitchens, the end result differs quite considerably. Very much like the ice cream you can get in stores, compared to the soft serve you can get when the ice cream truck passes through the streets of your neighborhood, ringing the old bell on those hot and sweltering summer days. In the end, it just isn't the same.
It tastes like sadness, all right?
And when you get offerings that pale in comparison, all you end up doing is missing the original more. And boy, do we miss this one. And even though it was merely nuts and chocolate, something we've all seen time and time again, it was done well, reminding us that sometimes a recipe can be full of run-of-the-mill ingredients, but sometimes those same old components are made to shine and hit the proverbial mark in a big way. The applause bar.
Bravo!
Some would say that a tasty treat, whether sweet or savory, is certainly worth a standing ovation, or even a hearty round of applause. See where we're going with this? Thus, this bar too was aptly named, it would seem. Funny how that happens, eh? Many would remember the ads that aired on TV in the early 90s, and probably the biggest appeal this bar had was the originality it offered consumers of the era. Many bars have been offering combinations of nuts, caramel, chocolate, and nougat for ages, and still to this day, of course. But this relic of the past was different, as it consisted of a base of biscuit, soft caramel, raisins, and oddly enough, apple of all things.
I give you your new slogan.
It was covered in milk chocolate that encompassed all the flavors offered in one original package. The packaging and wrapper changed a few times during its existence on the market, which was from the late 80s through to the early 90s. A relatively short run, but the package inside was always the same. Should this bad boy ever make a triumphant return, we'd expect an uproarious ovation from one and all who've missed the sweet taste and impeccable texture. Now, if and when it does return, we hope we're not talking about a polite little golf clap here. We're talking a lot of hand-slapping action, enough to garner a fresh coating of red across the palms of many all around the world.
That's the highest score yet on the applausometer.
SpongeBob's Chocolate with Nuts.
Did you say chocolate? Chocolate? Chocolate!
And for those of us who are fans of SpongeBob SquarePants, a cartoon that's been known to be equally appreciated by adults as well as children, fans would or should remember an episode entitled Chocolate with Nuts. SpongeBob and his many friends and acquaintances residing in Bikini Bottom were always up to something or other. For some reason, the episode has gone down in history as being considered a classic of some renown.
Chocolate! Chocolate!
In the episode, SpongeBob and his lovable, cuddly buddy, Patrick Star, get it in their heads to sell chocolate bars in order to attain a lifestyle similar to those that are both rich and famous. The sales for the characters on the show didn't go all that well.
Hello?
I love you.
But that necessarily doesn't mean that the millions of viewers watching at home didn't start wondering what those bars tasted like, salivating in unison as the short minutes of the episode rolled on by. For many, the need for a chocolate of some sort seemed almost compulsive and insurmountable.
Chocolate!
many viewers running to the fridge or closet during a commercial break looking for just about anything that contained cocoa or even nuts. But as they chomped down on whatever it was that they found, it just wasn't the same. We'd assumed that a chocolate bar resembling the one shown on the show would have done pretty well on the market. They could have made a fortune probably, but we missed out on the chance as consumers, and producers of the show equally missed out on the chance to have made a bundle, at least for a limited time. But hey, we'll always have the episode to look back on should we get the craving.
Hi, SpongeBob. The SpongeBob.
Cadbury's Marble.
I've lost my marbles.
The debate is pretty much age-old, and it's these debates that are perhaps the most intriguing. Hot coffee or cold coffee? Your pasta served al dente or overcooked? Medium rare or well done? And of course, white chocolate or milk chocolate? It was the good people at Cadbury that decided that they were tired of trying to get an answer for that one.
42.
And they decided to please everyone, ultimately bringing forth a tasty treat from both sides of that eternal debate. Cadbury's Marble was indeed a hit, and many miss the euphoria each bite brought along with it. These days, and for quite some time, many bakers have been offering Marble delights in the form of sponge cakes and other goodies.
Do you know I got mugged for a marble ride?
But this was a pretty innovative offering from the people at Cadbury, and many were left puzzled as to why it didn't continue to be offered.
That's the one thing we'll never truly understand.
Vice versa.
You mean vice versa?
Shut up! Combining white and milk chocolate has been done by confectionery companies time and again, and they will keep producing such treats for years to come. Nestle, in particular, has been producing such treats since 1991. Sale of the vice versa did well at first, but dwindled soon after, and it disappeared from shelves. It was predominantly sold in the UK, which makes sense, seeing that these sweet treats were produced there and all. Well, it wouldn't take long for Nestle to bring them back, as they were understandably in high demand, as the public more than adored this particular item. An online petition that included over 10,000 requests brought the candy bar back to shelves in 2012. See what a little push can do for you?
Well, vice versa, man.
So if you remember these little treasures from back in the day in beautiful UK, go ahead and take your tummy on a trip back in time.
Here I go again. Oh no, you don't. 0011001.
Banjo.
God damn, you play a mean banjo.
Talk about taking a trip back in time. How about we go even further back in time? Further back even than 1991. Way further? How does 1954 sound? Far enough back for you?
Maybe you could understand how history really works.
Well, that was the year in which this particular chocolate went off the market after quite some time for the first time. It has often been compared to the Kit Kat bar, as it consisted mainly of wafers with chocolate filling and, of course, a milk chocolate coating. The bar was brought back in 1976, only now chopped nuts were added to the mix.
Hi, it's Fitz with Slap My Nuts.
Likening the newer version to a drifter bar. A coconut flavor was also available. The bar was sold in the UK, and after its mid-70s and early 80s run, it disappeared from shelves once again, but perhaps not from our hearts.
I'll just play the banjo with this cobra.
Mint Crunchie.
Very crunch!
The first company to launch the rather noisy Crunchie bar was J.S. Fry & Sons in 1929. In Canada, the sweet Crunchie center is known as Honeycomb.
Oh, no, not the beast!
Which isn't altogether accurate, but understandable. And in the UK, the tasty epicenter is known as Cinder Toffee, which kind of hits the mark a little more, we'd say. Cadbury took up the lease, so to speak, and has been bringing this one to the masses for quite a number of years now. And the classic toffee-flavored crispy center has been a favorite for many the world over. The bright and shiny golden packaging is also an eye-catcher, and sales could be attributed to that as well. So much so that a few limited editions were released over the years, and the flavors were quite interesting to say the least.
Crunchy frog. Ah, yes. Am I right in thinking there's a real frog in here?
It was in the 1960s that the company launched a peppermint Crunchie, and it too was extremely well received at the time, especially for fans of mint-flavored treats of any kind. But as we all know, mint isn't exactly for everyone. Regardless, it's still missed by many out there.
That is so nice.
I miss you too.
Orange Crunchie.
Nothing rhymes with orange, then everything rhymes with orange.
While mint is a regular flavor to behold when looking at chocolate bars, of course, orange too is often featured or can be considered the star ingredient in many bars and sweet treats over the decades. So yeah, orange was indeed a flavor of the Crunchie bar for a limited time. And although it seemed an odd flavor to some,
do you like powdered orange breakfast drink?
No, not really.
the item sold quite well and is still adored by those who enjoyed it during its rather short-lived run. There are other orange-flavored chocolate bars out there, but definitely nothing with that distinct crunchy crunch.
Wouldn't be crunchy, would it?
Champagne Crunchie.
Pagan.
I didn't realize you were such a connoisseur.
There were other crunchy bars that lasted for smaller amounts of time. Perhaps the one that stands high above them all was the champagne flavor. Now, who doesn't enjoy a cold flute of champagne on a given occasion, like a step up the professional ladder, a win on the stock market, or a romantic anniversary? Whatever the occasion may have been,
Cristal, it's the very best that they make. And I didn't like champagne till I had Cristal, and now I love it.
while this flavor was on shelves, people could now celebrate with a candy bar instead of an alcoholic beverage, and it was in the form of one of their favorite candy bars out there. We can see how sweet and bubbly champagne could be infused into the hard, toffee-like substance at the center of this bar, and it must have been pretty tasty at that. We wonder only if it had the same calming effect as the beverage. Somehow we doubt it, but if it did, maybe that's why it's so sorely missed by consumers. We more than understand, especially after a long day.
Chin chin. For our purposes, promptness is far behind thoroughness.
Terry's Pyramint.
It's the food pyramid.
Imagine, if you will, you're soaring through the beautiful Arabian skies with Aladdin himself. You've just rubbed the sides of the lamp, and the lovable genie has granted you 3 wishes. You decide to ask for a trip to Egypt so you can see the pyramids you've only ever dreamed of seeing. Aladdin gladly glides through the beautifully lit starry skies, and there in the distance are the mysterious structures that have been known to contain some of the most historic treasures in the world. And speaking of treasures,
Oh, great one who summons me.
why not mention the other pyramid from the annals of time? Of course, we're talking about Terry's Pyramint, a chocolate treat that was offered to the masses in the 80s. Now, while the aforementioned pyramids of Egypt had mysteries both dark and great,
You must not read from the book!
these much smaller bites of joy held an altogether different treasure that was most pleasurable to many chocolate lovers out there, especially those who enjoyed a little minty freshness every now and again. And minty freshness was definitely delivered when it came to this little chocolate bar. It was extremely popular in the 1980s, but it was pulled from shelves in the early 1990s, the company claiming that sales were low.
It's a pyramid scheme.
The mint here was actually in the form of fondant and not solid chocolate, and it was quite tasty, the effect pleasurable and fresh. This one came in 2 distinct formats while it was available, in a single pyramid and also in the form of a bar, in which many smaller pyramids were included in a line. The Egyptian pyramids may still be there, but pyramints, on the other hand, will always stay locked in time and history.
Nah, it's just me.
Tap that screen to enjoy another one of our great videos. Are you new to our channel? Then show us some love by hitting that subscribe button and ringing that bell to join our notification squad.